Except for Francis, and I'm 15 years old.
We are out here today training our sled dogs.
Most people don't even know what it is. So I just have to explain, the whole concept of it and the history behind it.
We're kind of sponsoring and help training Seppa because she's got some high dog sledding goals. Hopefully the junior Iditarod in a couple of years.
Basically, your team consists of 4 positions: wheel dog, team dog, swing dog, and lead dog.
Started when I was like 5 in 2009 in Sealy Lake, Montana. Almost 11 years now, most of my life. Just down the road we had an Iditarod musher that would take me out when I was little, and that's kind of when this all started. Yep.
I think you learn more when you're mentoring someone else than when you're just, going out for a training run.
Getting on the snow is really important. It takes a little while to condition the dogs so that they can accomplish the goals.
If we want to go right, we tell them G, and if we want to go left, we tell them ha. And to stop them, we say whoa. And then if we want them to run, usually we can say up, up, or hike, or anything like that. And then when they're doing what they're supposed to, when they're running like this, we'll tell them good dogs or good kids and stuff like that. It just helps them kind of boost morale. Dogs. Being around the dogs is just incredible. They always care about you, and they're gonna be there if something happens. Nobody else is, but they will. Up, up. Good kids.
This is the first year of them doing the junior races.
The junior is 37 miles.
This is my first technical race, but I've been running forever. I think it's pretty cool. I like the opportunity to run, and it's not that far.
It's super exciting. We need more young people in the sport. It's a great training run and a good place to start into distance mushing.
It's freedom. I guess it's just where you can find your peace. There's nothing in the world that just kind of clears your head like this does.
This is the Air Barn. Dreamed up by the Sun Valley Ski Education Foundation, this state-of-the-art facility is an anti-gravity training venue. Simply put,
it's a place where you wanted when you were a kid.
With trampolines, airbags, a half pipe, and even a tow-in rope, the Air Barn is a mecca for anyone looking to get inverted.
This is where we dryland train for free skiing and snowboarding. Get used to being in the air. We use skateboards and rollerblades and anything we can to get upside down.
More than 50 athletes on the SVSEF slopestyle, half-pipe, and freestyle teams use this facility on a regular basis. This is where practice becomes perfect before they hit the snow.
The Air Barn is a definite need in the sport now. If you don't have a trampoline facility or something like this, then you're kind of just left behind.
Not one to be left behind is Timberline High School's Julian Gluck. He drives to Sun Valley from Boise every weekend to take advantage of this state-of-the-art facility.
We get out around 3:07 p.m. and right after that, I fill up my car with gas and head right to Sun Valley.
A slope-style snowboarder, Julian says he draws his inspiration from the athletes who've trained here before him. Athletes like Caitlin Farrington, the snowboarding half-pipe gold medalist from Sochi, and Chase Josie, who mastered his half-pipe tricks right here, the same ones that earned him his first trip to the Olympics in South Korea.
It's amazing where they came from here and how I'm training here now. Maybe someday I can be in that position, I don't know. It's really cool.
Mountain towns across the country have raised their own air barns, from Mammoth Lakes, California to Copper Mountain, Colorado. But here in Idaho, Conway says this one sets the gold standard.
Sun Valley, Dollar Mountain is a place to be.
Well, Dee, I'm standing in a road just south of Malta, and while the water has receded since Wednesday, there's still stretches along the street that are completely covered in water. And just a few yards behind me, that water goes all the way up to my knees, and the current is actually pretty strong. Community members of all ages have dropped everything they're doing, including class, to help out their neighbors in need.
There were 160 people here in this little parking lot filling bags last night,
including students. After an outpour of calls from the community asking for help, Principal Eric Bowden made the call to cancel class yesterday and shorten them today.
Their parents told us that they needed help, so, you know, we're going to help them. Their families and their cousins, and it's just a tight-knit community, so we're willing to help. We have 1,500 sandbags to fill this hour, and then we'll have 7,000 bags coming at 3 o'clock.
Bowden says there's 16 homes around town in extreme jeopardy. Jennifer Whitaker's house is one of them.
Within a matter of minutes, it had filled the driveway, the whole front yard, and it was coming in fast.
Volunteers pumped 4 feet of water from her basement overnight, and students have been piling sandbags around Whitaker's home today to keep the water at bay.
It's very humbling, just the love of our community. Everybody helps everybody, and everybody's out. And even if your house is flooding, someone else starts, you head down the road and you help them. It's just amazing. We have the best community there is. I wouldn't live anywhere else.
Floods are expected to continue throughout the weekend, and Principal Bowden says the community and students are doing all they can do to better prepare for the next round.
Does that make you proud as a principal to see them all out here?
You bet.
And some homes like Jennifer actually needed more than sandbags. It's hard to see from here, but there's giant bales of hay piled up around her house, which are very expensive, and they help serve as a protective barrier. And that's just an idea to give you a gauge of how severe the flooding is here for some homes in Malta.
Boy, you gave us a really great view of that, Gretchen, and especially the community spirit there. And those kids, I think they're learning lessons that they could never learn in a classroom when you pitch in like that, and hopefully that stays with them for a lifetime. Gretchen, thank you for filling us in there.
Well, it was an attack that lasted all night long, and in the end, one would be dead, another shot and shattered.
We first brought you this story several weeks ago as police responded to reports of a kidnapping at a Boise home. Tonight, for the first time, we hear chilling details from the woman herself at the center of this crime spree, a mother of 6 who nearly lost it all.
News Channel 7's Allison Newton joins us live with the exclusive interview.
Carolyn and Mark, it happened 6 weeks ago tonight. Louise Erdman was here at her Boise home doing what a lot of parents were doing, helping to finish up homework and putting the kids to bed. But right about this time of night, her world was forever changed.
I just felt like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me. He started saying, well, you know, you need to shoot yourself in the head, and then I will shoot myself in the head. I just started praying that, you know, that somehow I'm going to get through this.
It was the evening of March 30th. Louise Erdman was getting ready to tuck her 3 youngest children into bed. But then a man from her past threatened to end their future.
All of a sudden our world, it's just like all of a sudden it's just like pure hell.
Earlier this year, Jim Rose was arrested for threatening to kill Louise. This night, it appeared he would make good on his threat. He busted in the front door and made his intentions known.
He grabs my little girl's hair and at gunpoint tells her, you know, do you see this gun? If you don't get out to take the baby and go to the neighbors right now, this is going to be up your mom's head.
The children fled to safety. Then Louise tried doing the same.
So I just went running as fast as I could, but the next thing you know, he was right on me. He outran me, grabbed me and said, you get in the car right now or I'm going to shoot you right here.
She complied, and a nightmare road trip ensued.
He's like, you know what's going to happen tonight, don't you? You know what's going to happen. He's like, well, we're both going to die tonight. That's what's going to happen. I'd say, well, I don't want to die, and I don't want you to die either. And he'd say, well, it's too late. It's happening, baby. It's happening. And then that's where he took the gun and he pointed it to my head. And then I was, okay, I got to fight now because he's not going to shoot me in the head. There's no way. So I grabbed the gun. Then he got really mad and said, let go of the effing gun now. I let go, and then all of a sudden, I guess he must have went like this or something, and then I got shot in the legs.
Shot through both legs, terrified, and now 250 miles from home. Louise's captor pulls off the interstate onto this remote road south of Snowville, Utah, where this saga is about to get even worse.
I'm thinking I'm going to bleed to death and freeze to death at the same time.
But with the rising sun came a ray of hope. 2 hunters approached the car. Rose told them Louise accidentally shot herself. He asked them to take her to the hospital, but also requested they not call police. Suspicious, the hunters drove off, but they did call 911. Soon, officers rushed down this desolate rural road.
He said he saw like people coming up behind us, and he said, I'm not gonna live. He said, I'm not gonna go to prison for 20 years. All of a sudden, next thing I know, boom.
Jim Rose took his own life. This as armed officers closed in on the car with their video cameras rolling.
They started hollering and telling me to get out of the car. And I remember I opened my door and I said, I can't get out of the car. I can't because I've been shot. And they just kept hollering at me and running towards me with like rifles. And I thought they were going to shoot me because because I wouldn't get out of the car.
In fact, her traumatic 12-hour ordeal was about to end, and she was about to go on living. Unbelievable news delivered by a female officer on scene.
She goes, yeah, she was like, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna make it. And then she says, look up there. And so I looked up and there was like this helicopter coming. And that was like, I couldn't believe it.
After 5 days in a Utah hospital, Louise returned to Boise. But it would be 2 weeks before her 3 youngest children were given back to their mother after being put in state custody during this volatile situation. Now, as she plans for her daughter's 10th birthday party, she takes stock of what was nearly lost, her life as a mother.
You know, I was almost killed, and then my children, what could have happened to them?
It's a sweetheart.
I'm concentrating on every day with them. Every moment is like really, really precious.
Louise is still in a lot of pain from her gunshot wounds, along with the scars. The bullet is actually still in her right leg. It's lodged against her femur. Doctors think there's less risk leaving it there than there would be in trying to surgically remove it. She still has swelling, but she's able to get around and take care of her children again.
Yeah, possibly always a reminder, though, right there on the leg. But what a strong woman. Allison, thank you for that report.
It makes us reflect on how precious life really is and how precious we all are to each other. It is a miracle. It is absolutely a miracle.
It was 1 month ago today, her daughter struck by lightning before her very eyes. The story we tell tonight is one nearly no one expected.
Laura Eusterman was directly hit by a bolt of lightning. It instantly burned her body and stopped her heart.
She was essentially dead. Tonight, exactly 1 month later, our Allison Hooten brings us the story you'll see only here on 7, an update neither doctors nor her family expected.
October 1st, 2007, storm clouds roll into Hidden Springs.
Laura looked up at the sky and she says, you know, there's a big black cloud over there.
Out of nowhere, just one bolt crack and just got her right on the top of her head.
39-year-old Laura Eusterman is directly hit.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
911. Yes, my daughter. It's just struck by lightning.
Her heart stops.
Can you start CPR? Yes, I have, but I think she's gone. I think she's gone.
For 2 weeks, this mother of 4 clings to life in the intensive care unit. And then, a medical miracle.
Well, I should buy a lottery ticket.
Laura Eusterman defied the odds. She doesn't remember the lightning strike, nor the week preceding it. She does remember waking up from her coma 2 weeks later.
Well, my husband talked to me and he said that I had been struck by lightning, that I had died, that my mother had brought me back to life, and that I had been hospitalized for a couple of weeks. I looked at him and I said, BS. and then he showed me my legs and stuff like that, and then it sort of made sense.
The electrical force left its mark from head to toe, inside and out. Laura's legs are burned. Her head is healing from what's believed to be the exit wound where lightning left her body. Beyond the surface scars, there is deeper damage.
I can move everything on my body, but I can't use it appropriately. So it's mostly muscle weakness, I think. My nerves aren't sending the right messages to my muscles.
Lara is technically a quadriplegic. She has to retrain her muscles, nerves, and brain to communicate again. An agonizingly slow and painful process.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
But life is the operative word there, something neither Lara nor her family take for granted.
Ta-da! I love.
And you feel like you can hold yourself up there? Good.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to see the progress that she's making. It's great.
Wow.
It's cool, huh?
Yeah.
All right. You want to go back down?
Uh-huh.
We're really so grateful that Lara is really back with us.
Okay.
Lara's mother is credited with saving her life. In the midst of chaos with Lara's 2 youngest boys at her side, Kathy Larson performed CPR on her dying daughter.
I'm so thankful to my mother. She gave me life twice.
Well, certainly it was helpful that I was there, but I can't help but feel that there was a lot of divine providence involved.
I think there's a reason I'm still here. I'm not sure what it is yet.
But Lara is sure about one thing, that she will struggle and strain through the pain of therapy trying to regain the physical being she once was, trying to get well and get home, to relish what was once considered the little things in life and is now seen as the very essence of life.
You ready to call it good?
Oh yeah, it's good. Good. The worst part is not being at home and hearing stories about, although it's great, neighbors and friends taking my kids to the zoo and to the park, and I can't be there. Then I'm grateful to them all. But I want it to be me. Hi, Griffin. Hi, baby. How are you? Hi, Gibby. The best part to this story is that I've realized how much I miss that, and that I need to slow down my life, which I'll be doing. I'm just gonna be mom for a while, instead of trying to be everything else.
Doctors are optimistic Lara will be spending Thanksgiving with her family in her home in Boise.
Wow.
That's
I
just
love
3
her.
weeks away. I know, I do too.
Just amazing.
For hundreds of students in rural communities across the state, access to proper art education can be pretty hard to come by. But for years, one Boise woman has made it her mission to take art and creativity to classrooms big and small. New at 6, our Shannon Camp joins us now with that story. Shannon, I can't wait to see and hear it.
Well, Dee, there's something very Rockwellian about the one-room schoolhouse in Prairie, Idaho. And now, thanks to one big-hearted teacher, the students there and at other schools like it have the tools and the skills to recreate the scene in their very own works of art.
Living up here, it's like you're right at the feet of Mother Nature.
It's a scene straight out of a painting.
I never want to leave. I want to stay up here in Prairie, and I want to send my kids here to the school.
A little red schoolhouse in a setting that doesn't get much more picturesque.
You just don't get a better view than what's happening here.
For generations, children in the small ranching town of Prairie, Idaho have learned to read and write inside these 4 walls.
Well, right now there is 6 kids in school total.
And once a year for 40 years.
You guys are going to really like this. This is fun.
The students welcome a very special visitor.
As soon as they hear when she's coming, it's through the door. Hey, Dad, Jennifer's coming next month.
Can you put a red one up here?
And then in the community, too. Everybody asks, when is Jennifer coming?
Jennifer Williams first brought art education to this rural schoolhouse in 1976.
Nice job.
She learned of the school while teaching high school art in nearby Mountain Home.
You know, we were very, very remote. I mean, we didn't get to see many people. So when she came and taught art, that was like almost like Christmas to us as kids.
We just call it Project Van Gogh, And essentially it's, of course it's a play off of Vincent van Gogh, the artist, but we usually would come in a van, we'd get in a van and we would go.
Today, the schoolhouse is full. Just kind of pat the sides.
4 of my former students came with me today.
Nice. Those students are now art teachers themselves.
Roll this out like a big snake, right? Like this.
So many of the parents here were my students, and now I'm getting the kids and the grandkids, and that is mind-boggling to me. And I can't believe how big Sadie is.
I know. They're all here to celebrate Jennifer, the woman who's brought so much more to this community than just crayons and clay.
It inspires me. It makes me want to think of something different. Makes me want to try something new.
Pretty! Look at that color. It really is making them think outside the box, and anybody that thinks art is secondary to everything, it's actually foremost to everything.
Jennifer is now retired from teaching art full-time, but she says Prairie is a place where she'll continue drawing inspiration for years to come.
To me, they've given the gift to me. They think I've given the gift to them, but they've really given the gift to me.
And the celebration is just getting started for Jennifer Williams. In just a few weeks, she will become the first teacher from Idaho ever inducted to the National Teachers Hall of Fame. The story of her 40-year teaching career will be on permanent display at the National Teachers Hall of Fame Museum in Emporia, Kansas, an honor I'm sure the folks in Prairie would say is very well deserved. Dee.
Well, we know it's nearly summer, which means more people are about to head out for a dip to cool off. And sadly, it's also the season when we hear more about child drownings. Just last month, we reported on the tragic story of a toddler who died after falling into a canal. And new tonight, our Tammy Tremblay shows us a program that's aimed at curbing a problem in the water.
We're lucky here in Idaho. There are plenty of rivers, lakes, ponds, pools, and irrigation canals. But all that water also means trouble if a child falls in. A program in the Treasure Valley aims to teach babies and toddlers what to do so they can save themselves. Take a look.
Hi, Miss Gwen, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. How are you today? Good, me too.
This is Coach Ann Moore's infant self-rescue class.
This is my mission, not to let one more child drown.
Right now she's teaching 3-year-old Gwen what to do if she ends up in the water by herself.
It could be at a birthday party and somebody has a pool. It could be a lot of different scenarios. It was just an important thing for us and our family.
We also watched Emmett, Grace, Zaid, and Heidi in action.
She jumps in from the steps into the water and she swims all the way across the pool, and she knows whenever she needs a breath to float on her back and breathe, and yeah, she can swim all the way across. It's pretty amazing.
You guys gonna float? Oh my goodness gracious.
The drowning prevention class is for kiddos between 6 months and 6 years old. Floating in the pool now in her purple swimsuit is Charlotte. She's 11 months.
There's nothing that compares to the reassurance it gives parents.
At first, her mom says Charlotte fussed because Coach Ann was a stranger and she was having to learn skills in a big pool. But after a while,
good job. This is where you breathe.
The tears go away.
Once you feel comfortable with each piece of the sequence, then the crying becomes less and less because they're confident in their skill. They know they can roll, land on their back to float, to breathe.
She even smiles now as her mom cheers her on.
Good job.
All of the kids seem to be having a good time, probably unaware that what they're learning could someday save their lives.
When they do get into a situation that, they slip or something happens in the water that they're not anticipating, they're holding their breath, they're getting their head up, they're floating on their back, they're swimming over to the wall. They have a skill base that they're drawing upon.
But Coach Ann says a child learning what to do in the water is just the third step in drowning prevention. The first is watching them like a hawk.
Just because the children are skilled and they can save themselves, no one is ever drown-proof. So that's why supervision is critical.
The second step is having proper locks, alarms, and gates in place. Several of the parents we spoke with live near or on water.
We live on a pond, there's a pond in our backyard. So we were kind of concerned about what if something happened, and how do we teach her to be confident in the water.
After about 6 weeks of lessons, one-on-one, 5 days a week, that confidence is there for the little ones and their parents.
I don't have to worry about that their head is underwater and they're panicking and they're maybe breathing in water because they don't know what to do. It's honestly probably one of the best parenting decisions we've ever made, is just making sure that they can be safe around water.
I just signed my little girl up for lessons, and it's true, your child will probably cry at first. Mine did a lot. But as Charlotte's mother told me, it's for a greater good. To learn more about infant self-rescue, head to our website, ktvb.com, and click on this story.
I'm a free man, I will die a free man.
After hours of tense negotiations, the final occupiers at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge turned themselves in this morning.
The water's boiling just below the surface all across the West.
And lawmakers across the region are reacting to the message and the method.
That goes beyond your constitutional rights to protest.
Some empathize with the frustrations over federal overreach.
It's just citizens that have had enough.
While others worry about the long-lasting impact.
It's torn our community apart. I see it tearing our country apart.
And even though the occupation has ended, this story is far from over.
From the refuge to our next battleground, which is the court system and legislation.
Live from Idaho's News Channel 7, this is the News at 10.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the end. I repeat, the end of the armed occupation of a federal wildlife refuge near Burns, Oregon this morning, day 41. The remaining protesters turned themselves into federal agents.
The FBI will now spend days, maybe even weeks, going through the refuge, checking for any booby traps while conducting its investigation. Our Shannon Camp spent the day in Burns gathering reaction and filed this report.
Emotions continue to run high here in Burns, where residents say this weeks-long occupation has torn this town apart. The FBI says it will remain here for some time, but the occupiers have spent their last night in Harney County.
This morning, the FBI took into custody the last 4 remaining occupiers at the Malheur National Wildlife Reserve.
I just posted hallelujah on my Facebook post, and I think that says it all. I am so glad this is over.
Relief in Burns, Oregon Thursday as the 41-day standoff at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge is over.
There's good that can come out of this. Friends and neighbors can get off social media and sit down over a cup of coffee and talk out their differences.
Thousands watched live as the remaining 4 occupiers streamed their negotiations with the FBI online. After the arrival of Reverend Franklin Graham and Nevada lawmaker Michelle Fiore, 3 of those occupiers gave up peacefully. The 4th, David Fry, stood his ground, even threatening suicide.
Young man, very troubled young man, said, if everybody says hallelujah, I'll come out. I heard hallelujahs from a SWAT team. I heard hallelujahs in unison out of an entire building of people that were watching that with their fingers crossed, hoping to God that they could get people out alive.
Just before 11 a.m., Fry left the refuge, ending weeks of occupation and joining 12 others now facing federal charges.
I can say this: illegal acts such as occupying federal property in a violent manner, armed, to deprive employees or citizens access to those facilities will not be tolerated in the United States. And I hope that message has gotten out clearly.
The 4 that turned themselves over to authorities on Thursday will face a judge in Portland on Friday. Meanwhile, the people of Burns will feel the effects of this occupation for weeks to come. Back to you.